Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Now this is something that has come out of left field for the upcoming Anthony Joshua and Joseph Parker unification fight on March 31st, with it being revealed Joseph Parker has had secret surgery on both elbows, yes both, before Christmas. So in this video I'm going to run through the official statement from the Parker camp, a video clip from the surgeon that performed the surgery of him explaining what was done and the potential impacts of it, and then on to some thoughts, because the way this is being framed is this surgery is a potential game changer for Parker. Okay, buckle in. Let's go. The official statement from Duco Events, which promotes Parker, it reads, Joseph Parker's trainer Kevin Barry has revealed that the WBO heavyweight boxing champion has been nursing pain and restriction in both his elbows for more than 2 years. In November 2017, the team elected to have one of New Zealand's best orthopedic surgeons correct the injuries. Barry is delighted to confirm the results of the surgery have been nothing less than fantastic, with Parker regaining maximum speed and power for the first time since 2016. Okay, so here is the orthopedic surgeon Craig Ball of the Ascot Hospital in Auckland.
I've been a professional orthopedic shoulder and elbow specialist for over 15 years, so this is very common surgery for me to do. It was remarkable what he was able to do before he needed the operation, particularly with his boxing, given the findings that he had at the CT in the time of surgery. A very unusual thing that I've observed is how quickly he was able to get better afterwards. And obviously the aim was to improve the range of motion, but more importantly, in my professional opinion, I think by losing that impingement pain that he would have, that will almost certainly give him a little bit more speed and probably power with his punch too, because he's not having that pain limiting him every time he's trying to throw something.
That was orthopedic surgeon Craig Ball, who performed surgery on Joseph Parker's elbows in November. Well now, potentially more speed and power. This announcement, it's certainly been timed for maximum exposure in my view, and I'm sure it's going to make some waves for this fight, for people's expectations, and possibly even in the Anthony Joshua camp. Because Joseph Parker, he was supposed to be a known quantity. A guy with fast hands, with decent power, who'd ground out recent decisions, hadn't looked great, but he ground out recent decisions, and he was looking to make a step up in performance for this fight with Anthony Joshua if he was to have a real shot of defeating Joshua. It was well known that Parker's left elbow in particular was a concern in 2016, and after the Carlos Takam fight it was said that the issue led to his power being down by about 25% or so. At the time, that injury and a few others, they were largely put down to overuse. And it was stated that, Parker and his workload was going to be managed better going forward so they could actually keep him fresh and not keep him in the injuries ground down. So after the Takam fight in 2016, he fought Solomon Homono, Alexander Dimitrenko and Andy Ruiz Jr. in December 2016 for the title. And that was followed by Razvan Kajanu and Hughie Fury in 2017. So he's knocked out 2 of his last 6 opponents. Hasn't looked great in some of those fights though. And the general consensus was Parker, after some of the latter performances in particular, that he didn't seem to have the snap in his punches, and he certainly wasn't able to wobble Ruiz, Kajanu or Fury. And it was ultimately put down by Team Parker as a byproduct, well some of it at least, of becoming increasingly heavier for his fights. So he had been weighing in the mid 240 pound range in late 2016 and through 2017, as opposed to the mid 230s earlier in his career. And they admitted his weight, it needed to be lower, and the experiment of bulking up, that it had failed, and they've said they were going to come in lighter for the Joshua fight, and apparently they are. So talk about a unification with Anthony Joshua, that started, so we'll just go through the timeline here, that started to bubble up in October 2017. And later in that month, it was announced that Parker would no longer be pursuing a fight before Christmas. Makes you think now, doesn't it? And previously, his promoters had been considering the likes of Kyotaro Fujimoto, Zhili Zhang, Bryant Jennings, Lucas Brown, and even Alexander Povetkin. And what we do know now is Parker underwent surgery on both his elbows in November. the same month in which Duco was stepping up efforts to secure a unification fight with Anthony Joshua. You may recall the infamous cell phone streamed presser and the Glassjaw video. So negotiations between Duco and Matchroom's Eddie Hearn, they continued through the Christmas period, and then in mid-January, the fight was announced. At the time, it was said that Parker had put on some weight through the Christmas period, and later his mother revealed that entering camp he weighed approximately 266 pounds, and we've been told he's somewhere in the region of 240 pounds now. And of course, we've also been told that Parker has had a great camp. But that sort of thing, you hear every camp. Kevin Barry says that every single time. And given some of the recent lackluster performances, I mean, some of us do take those sorts of statements with a grain of salt now. But maybe there's something to it this time. Parker and Kevin Barry arrived in London looking at ease and oozing confidence. Parker, he looked uber relaxed. He looked as cool as the other side of the pillow. And if Parker is now in top form physically, that would explain why he is looking so confident, acting so confident. The big question is though, how will the surgery improve his performance? Will it improve his performance? It's one thing saying it will, but has it? So it's worth looking at how restricted he was, because the New Zealand Herald is reporting that apparently it got to the point where Parker could no longer throw his trademark lightning double jab without extreme discomfort. It also says he'd finished sparring sessions and fights in pain. So apparently none of that pain is now there. For me, some of the pain aspect, it would explain why Parker's jab would go missing in fights. He was simply just having trouble throwing it. But I don't think we can just put it down all to that, because these guys often, they'll fight injured, they'll carry through, they've got some niggles all the time, that sort of thing, and they will just box on. So I'm a little reluctant to just declare that we're going to see a completely different Joseph Parker in the ring come March 31st. Because having a little more speed and power, that's great, but it won't fix all of his deficiencies. I mean, namely, lack of head movement. It's not going to fix his defense in general. But I am encouraged by the news and the potential gains that it may bring. I mean, Parker physically is going to be in good shape. This is what they're saying now. But also mentally. If he's been restricted in his performances more recently, then having more freedom of movement and feeling comfortable throwing his shots without pain, it's going to be a huge mental boost. We had heard rumours emerging from his training camp of sparring partners getting pieced up, laid out, but ultimately nothing was verified. So potentially that has happened. But it is clear Parker, after the surgery, is feeling good and he's ready for action come March 31st. It certainly adds another dimension, another angle to this build-up, and it's come completely out of the blue. I wasn't expecting this. I'm sure many of you were expecting or hoping for a better performance, but this could give some optimism that one will come. What do you make of the news? And do you believe that we can expect to see an improved performance from Joseph Parker as a result of this elbow surgery, double elbow surgery? Let me know. Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.
I've been a professional orthopedic shoulder and elbow specialist for over 15 years, so this is very common surgery for me to do. It was remarkable what he was able to do before he needed the operation, particularly with his boxing, given the findings that he had at the CT in the time of surgery. A very unusual thing that I've observed is how quickly he was able to get better afterwards. And obviously the aim was to improve the range of motion, but more importantly, in my professional opinion, I think by losing that impingement pain that he would have, that will almost certainly give him a little bit more speed and probably power with his punch too, because he's not having that pain limiting him every time he's trying to throw something.